This is the National Weather Service in La Crosse with a weather briefing concerning the threat for heavy rains and potential flooding tonight and tomorrow, and the threat for severe weather tonight. The main threat times, mainly in Wisconsin east of the Mississippi River, would be roughly later this evening and overnight, with the main threats being heavy rainfall and, to a lesser degree now, damaging winds, large hail, and the potential for an isolated tornado. West of the Mississippi River in southeast Minnesota and northeast Iowa, the threat would again be mainly during the mid-evening and overnight hours. And the main threats here again, too, are heavy rains and, to a lesser extent now, damaging winds, large hail, and the threat for an isolated tornado. Due to the shift in some of the thinking and what the weather patterns are currently doing, the confidence for the severe weather threats tonight are low for the damaging wind, large hail, and isolated tornado, and medium to a little on the higher side for the heavy rainfall and the potential for renewed flooding on area rivers. Here's a current radar imagery. It's this convection here with the showers and storms that move through much of the area during the middle of the day, and the showers and storms here in southern Iowa that have pushed the warm front that we've been watching to the south for today. And it's this boundary here that's in northern Kansas to southern Iowa, and this portion in eastern Iowa has now been pushed to the southern border of Iowa and into northern Illinois for the late afternoon hours. Again, it's this front that we're concerned with as far as the severe weather threats tonight. South of the front, we have a very warm and humid and unstable air mass. North of the front, the air mass is a little cooler and not so much or less instability for this afternoon and into at least the early evening hours. Here is the Storm Prediction Center severe weather outlook for tonight. Again, much of our area is covered with a slight risk, but a lot of this is contingent on where that front that's now in southern Iowa ends up during the late evening and overnight hours. Of a bigger concern, and with more certainty, is the threat for the heavy rains tonight into tomorrow. Here's the Hydrologic Prediction Center's forecast of rainfall for tonight and tomorrow, with much of our area looking at 1 to 2 inches of rain, with rivers already running high from recent rains and the Mississippi River at or just below flood stage along much of its reach through our area. These rains of 1 to 2 inches on both the Mississippi Basin and the tributaries have the potential to push these rivers to near and above flood stage over the next few days. Thus, a flood watch has been issued for all of our area for tonight and tomorrow. Here's a little bit more detail on the rains expected tonight and tomorrow. As you can see, much of the area is looking at probably 1 3/4 to 2 1/4 inches of rain over the next 24 hours. If the if the storms end up to be a little bit slower moving than anticipated, some of these rainfall amounts may be a little bit on the conservative side, with potential for locally up to 3 inches of rain. And again, this would have an impact on the river levels and the threat for flooding, especially later tonight into tomorrow and tomorrow night. This is the Hydrologic Prediction Center's outlook for excessive rainfall for tonight and into tomorrow. A slight risk or slight threat that the rainfall tonight could pose flooding problems over the next couple days. This is a little bit look at the current news story as of this afternoon, and again, the thing we're watching is the warm front. Earlier expectations were that this warm front was going to push into our area this evening and pose the severe weather threat of the large hail, damaging winds, and isolated tornadoes. It's looking a little less likely that that front will actually make it into the area this evening and may end up being stuck closer to I-80 during the overnight hours. If that was the case, the threat for large hail, damaging winds, and the isolated tornadoes would end up less than had earlier been thought. The one thing that hasn't changed is the threat for the heavy rains, with the 1 to 2 inches or locally more over the next 24 hours. Again, a summary here: potential for locally heavy rains tonight, with a lesser potential for damaging winds, large hail, and again, any tornado threat would remain contingent on the warm front lifting back into the area. Again, a flood watch has been issued for the entire area for tonight and Monday. Storm spotters may yet be needed later this evening and possibly into the overnight hours, and rainfall reports would always be appreciated anytime we have the threat for heavy rains. especially by tomorrow morning, so those reports could get worked into the river forecast and we have better estimates of how high the rivers may get from any rain that does fall. Again, this has been the National Weather Service with a weather briefing concerning the heavy rain and potential for severe weather tonight, Sunday evening, May 11th, into the overnight hours of Monday, May 12th.